You knew how to work.
But it was worth it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so it's all just wood on the outside. Okay.
Because we're just. The manager. Town manager. It's. I thought the extra 70 was.
Matt Storman.
That's in the side.
Nice to meet
Good
you.
evening all. 6 o'clock here, I'll get there and get the meeting started. My name is Dennis Poland, I'm the current town manager. I know most of you folks here. This nice lady here, I don't know. This gentleman, I do. And this fellow over here, I don't happen to know, but,
You will. I'm Ralph.
okay,
We exchange some messaging.
we did. So hello and welcome to the initial fiscal year 27 budget committee gathering. I'd like to thank everybody here for volunteering their time and assisting the generation of our upcoming fiscal year 27 municipal budget. Gonna get a little help with the sound system here. This is a complex budget. It's a complex year. We have almost entirely new town council. We have a new town manager. And we all possess new and varying ideas and methods to how we think things should be done. We also have had an inordinate amount of recent turnover. The code enforcement, the assessing, the public works, the transfer station, the rec, and the treasury are all under new leadership or soon will be. Some of the employees presenting the respective budgets will only have recently joined their department they represent. There's been much discontent over the current taxation levels. We owe it to our population, both year-round and seasonal, with every effort of not reducing the current level of services we now enjoy to provide the most cost-effective, economical budget we possibly can. I think we would all like to be part of that. As I do not wish this to be a long-winded opening statement, I now turn this over to the Budget Committee of 2027. Steve, you were the chair from last year. Take it from there. Thank you, Dennis.
Opening remarks, I think I agree with you. This year, I think it's definitely going to be different. We've got a different tone. And I appreciate everyone that was coming here. I believe the first order of business is to take nominations for this year's chair and co-chair. So I'll open that up for anyone who wants to nominate anybody?
I nominate Steve.
I'll nominate George.
I believe we need to have a second on the nominations. I'll second for it.
I'll second.
And the nominations for chair or co-chair?
I'm nominating for chair.
Your nomination is for chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, I guess we'll do one at a time with each chair and co-chair. So is there any other discussion before we go to vote? I'm not sure how we want to do this. You want us to step out or do we just raise hands or? I'm not gonna vote, but, all in favor of Steve Perry? All in favor?
Five.
And all in favor of George?
Consider chair and co-chair already.
Okay, total select-
Candidates.
Well,
The nominees.
George, you got seniority over me. Why don't you take the shit out of me? I'm fine with it.
You go chair?
I'll be co-chair.
Here we go.
I hand it over to you.
All right, and we need the secretary.
I nominate Tibet.
Okay, all those in favor, should I be in the secretary? All right, we can get started. We'll just go department. I believe we're doing town manager, clerk, finance, and assessment.
Town manager, compliance, clerk, assessing, code enforcement, and library.
Okay.
So before we get started,
Yeah.
if I could just take just a second. Yeah. So from having served on the committee in the past, I learned that it was helpful to have some historical data available. So I took the liberty of making some copy of the historical spending available by each department. And I'd like to pass that out. That's this one.
Perfect.
Great.
George, would it be appropriate for us to go around and introduce ourselves so you know?
Yeah.
You remember those?
I do.
That'll be a while.
Yeah.
Name, occupation, something to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Tim Piana. I went to business here since 8th grade. And basically my dad was a town doctor. I went to, so the school year was awesome when I went. Went to University of Maine. Calculus was a complete repeat. And I went to the military after because of the hard recession. And then I've been doing engineering ever since. I own Foresight Engineering behind Martin. Been there since 2003.
I'm Steve Perry, grew up here in Lincoln. Retired 3 years ago. I worked for a construction company for 46 years, doing heavy earth construction, project managing, and business development. And this is like the third year I've done it.
Hi, I'm David Moisen. I married a local girl, which is why we now live here. I first came to Lincoln in 1983. Keep coming back. Our children have spent part of every year of their lives here. We would like to make it, a nicer and more affordable town.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Nzerma. I was born and raised here in Lincoln. My husband and I moved to Illinois for over 17 years and then we came back. I worked with the VA and I'm retired now. We have 2 children and I'm happy to serve on this committee with all.
Nancy Erickson, I've been in Lincoln since '01, so next month will be 25 years. 2 kids went through school here and my background's finance.
George Everence, was on the council for 9 years. This is my 3rd year for budget, so I got 12 years of budget experience. Born and raised in Lincoln, lived here. I'm an IT manager here at a local FQHC. Yeah.
Like Mary LaMonica, I guess this makes me the newcomer. I've been here 9 years. My husband's a veteran. We were raised for the peace and quiet. Plus his roots in Maine, I think he's related to 3/4 of the state, but he was born elsewhere. I clearly did not grow up in this country, but I was born here. And I've spent the last 25 years of my career in tech and IT. My last role was as a director at Manpower Group before joining a startup made up of some of my former employees. I spent almost 20 years with IBM in project management. My last gig leaving there was with Google as a client doing international payroll, accounts payable, travel and expense accounting. So while I'm not like Nancy with the numerical proficiency, I can look at budgets and contribute what I can and see what we see with this budget.
I'm Stacey Williams. I've owned land in Lincoln since 2005. I've been in the area since like '83. I've been on and off the budget multiple times. This is probably the 4th or 5th time I've been on. I'm usually on for 2 years. Usually go off, give someone a break, give someone else a chance, and then I come back on. So I've been on multiple times off.
My name is Debette Mayo, and I've lived in Lincoln probably 33 years. I was the former treasurer here in the town of Lincoln. My husband was in the police department for a number of years when he retired. And I'm happy to be on this committee.
Charlie Dwelly, grew up in Lincoln, was in Enfield for a while, but come back 28 years this time. Something like and I'm Ralph Wittenberg. My wife and I moved to the area with a 5-year plan in mind. That was back in the late 80s. And raised our kids here. I served on the budget committee for it was about, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, quite a number of years ago, and chaired the committee several of those years. And I'm back again. Happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Matt Storman. My wife and I were raised in Lincoln, grew up in Lincoln. We spent about 30 years in southern Maine and New Hampshire, raising our family, pursuing careers. I spent a lot of years in the software industry, so I'm a software industry veteran. About 6 years ago, we moved back to Lincoln to care for aging family, and we started the Just Bake dispensary here in town, and we own and operate. This is my first time on the budget committee, so I'm not quite sure what to expect, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. All right.
I also passed around one of these that summarizes all the budgets since 2020.
Thank you.
Spreadsheet. So there should be enough to go. You guys get something? Did you get one?
Yep.
Okay, good.
So the way I like to do it is we'll go by each department and then go line by line. If you have questions, comments, anything on the line by line, and then we can give our recommendation for the budget. We'll start with the town manager department, 0001 wages.
That's the question. Was all wage line items? Please tell us what that includes. Does that include Sudafed, or does that also include any other costs that are also saving, insurance and the other set aside personnel section?
This is the wages. Personnel benefits are in a different section.
understand that, but what are you counting as part of wages? Are you counting gross? Are you counting the pseudo contribution that the employer has to make?
Gross wages.
Gross wages only.
Great, so here's our own wages, town manager would have for 15,000 and then compliance officer, assessor clerk, 20,000.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was under the impression from reading the Lincoln News that your salary was 110. Was it 115?
My salary is 115,000 per year.
And the compliance officer slash assessing clerk. This person does work on workers' comp and other insurance business.
He does. He does mostly insurance. He's a part-time individual. He does mostly insurance work, workman's compensation insurance, and he does work 1 day a week, beginning this week for the assessing department.
And you call him an assessing clerk because he's just gonna do input data, he's not gonna go out in the field.
He's not going to go in the field. No, he's an administrative worker.
So coming back to the last question, you said your salary is 115,000 and that the wages were only the gross wages. How come the line item is 143,000 for the town manager?
Because it's my salary and the assessing
And
individual she just spoke of.
thank you. Appreciate it.
And just to go along with yours, Dennis, your contract, there's no increase built in for until July of next year.
That's correct. And it'll go with what the non-union employees get each year.
So would it go with the non-union for next year?
Next year,
So starting next year?
correct.
Can I make another suggestion? I'm gonna make a motion that we cut the compliance officer out of this equation and just budget for the assessing clerk, so whatever hours associated with that. And I think the assessing clerk should go in the assessing department rather than the town manager's department.
We can make that recommendation, but we can't vote on.
I understand you can't vote on wages, but I think we can actually vote on positions, right? Not necessarily wages.
We put this in the town manager's line because he works for several different departments. And week to week, he may be more than a certain amount of hours in this department or a different department. So we put that in the town manager's line.
You see a department head then?
No,
Again.
he works for me.
I think the wages should be in the department where he's working rather than in the town manager's department.
I'd say we could make that recommendation. I don't. think that's- You know, get one.
I think part of the challenge in going through the budget is actually understanding where things have been allocated for departments and things that are split across different categories. It's very difficult to say, here's our total cost of department X, even just the fire department is in at least 3 or 4 categories, right?
Right.
I appreciate the difficulty of recording time. But even an allocation methodology to say, 20% cost roughly goes to this budget so that you can actually see what you're spending for what you're getting in each of the departments. That would just be that.
Dennis, the assessment, how many different locations has he found in the budget? 2? No, he's found in one location. I thought you were going to ask me how many different locations in the office. Just this location in the budget. Okay, so his salary for the year is only 28,000. He's a part-time employee. Okay, and based on what, so many hours a week or whatever you need him? No, so many hours a week. He works a set schedule, 4 days a week, 5 to 6, 7 hours a day. That's what the 28,000. That's correct.
David?
Jabad, would you please clarify your proposal?
I would suggest that the compliance officer be cut out of the budget entirely. I think that should be a manager's job. And then whatever hours are required for the assessing clerk should be in the assessing department rather than in the town manager's department, because you can't determine what this person's working. If he's here in this department, he's not really, I can't say that he's helping the assessing department because his hours are in here.
Thank you. So I think just for further clarification, so if his hours are split roughly 50-50 between compliance and assessing, that works out to be $14,000 a year for compliance, $14,000 for assessing, and your proposal would remove $14,000 of compensation.
Well, I think if Dennis is, you're correct, he's only working one day in the assessing department, right? 5 hours times. It's 1907,
But I'm just,
yeah,
you further clarification, yes, go ahead and further.
okay,
clarify.
so I would suggest to the manager that this line item be completely taken out of his department and only, let's give him 6 hours a week. Times 52 would be 59.50 would be in the assessing department for the assessing part. That's 6 hours times 1907 times 52 weeks.
Did you work 52 weeks, Dennis?
Yes.
But the town manager just doesn't have an assistant. That takes a lot of flexibility from him not to have, or he control an assistant on whatever crisis he wants to take care of. I think that's the problem with doing that.
Well, I think, in my opinion, each department manager is responsible for their department. So if they're having a workers' comp issue in their department, they should be their own compliance officers in their department. And then relieve the town manager of that, some of that weight. But in my opinion, this compliance officer should not be, we don't need a compliance officer in a town this size. The department manager,
Just a workers' comp.
workers' comp or whatever other issue.
All different kinds of insurance
So
issues.
if I may ask a question, I don't recall there being a compliance officer
There
in the
never
town
has been.
budget. When was that introduced?
It's been there for a couple of years, probably 2 years at least.
Hold on, Amanda,
So part of us being in a SHAPE program and reducing our insurance costs is us having this compliance officer, and we did this many years ago. We can't do it by department. We can't train every single department head to be a compliance officer for the SHAPE program to reduce our insurance costs. That's why.
and again, just to clarify too, we can't say, we don't have the authority to cut. So if we want to say we don't think this person could make X amount of dollars, we don't have that
No,
authority.
I'm not saying.
So if you want to move, if you said you want to move the 20,000 to a different department, we can make that recommendation, but we can't cut any of the. We can't recommend cutting any of the funds.
Can we just wind back a little bit for the benefit of those of us who don't know what a compliance officer part of the activity is and explain what it is that role is with, please,
Can I have Amanda explain that?
by all means.
So with the SHAPE program, is through MMA, through our
What program?
SHAPE.
I don't have any idea what SHAPE program is. Could you explain that first?
Yep, so,
And
yep, that's where I was going.
okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep, so, through our insurance or MMA, we follow certain protocols. When we have incident accident reports, they need to be investigated to find out why we had that accident. Why did this employee get hurt, right? We're responsible for all of that. We have not been in a very good SHAPE program in a very long time, and that's what MMA calls it, is a SHAPE safety program. And so this helps reduce our insurance premiums by having regular safety meetings, like a monthly department meeting, just like any other business would have, and that helps us with that. The compliance officer is what that is. It's part of that. It's not a special assignment. It is a compliance officer for that insurance purpose. Helps with our mill testing. There's a bunch of things that compliance officer does.
And then a follow-up question, how much does the insurance cost increase without having?
That part I don't know, because I'm not the treasurer. I've never paid the insurance bill, so I don't know the savings of that, but there's quite a few things with that SHAPE program We get safety grants by being in that, so we can buy cones and barricades and vests and we have options to buy other things by being in that program at a reduced rate. It also helps with our training too. It's not just insurance compliance.
Mary, I can't give you an exact number, but it is a significant savings on the insurance end to have this individual in place doing these sorts of tasks.
I appreciate that. We just help to really know what the trade-off is, right? If it's, we're going to save $80,000, for example, then that becomes a no-brainer. If we're going to save $6,000, then it starts looking a little more clear, something that we want to be.
Should we get that number? Of what it's saving?
We can try to find that number.
Because in my opinion, when I worked for the town, all the department managers were their own compliance officers, and each department could be part of the SHAKE program or
That's
not.
changed how they do the program since you've been here. So it's different now. It's not in permanent base.
But each department could still get grants for safety equipment if they wanted to. It's not necessarily a requirement to have a compliance officer.
You have something?
Well, I do have one minor thing. The mileage rate is 65 cents. The current IRS mileage rate is 72.5. So that's just a better thing. So if we underpay, if you ever get audited by them, you must pay back everybody based on what you lost in interest and all that. So
Unless depreciation is covered also, because the IRS mileage includes vehicle depreciation plus the gas.
So this is the person using the personal vehicle. This is 72. It's just the same thing. It's an economy. I thought we were all beat down on the bank. Anyway, I assume you're supposed to be using the IRS. Right? Do we know?
That is correct. And we made an adjustment just a couple of years ago from 50 to this 65. And it may very well have changed since then.
Yeah, every year it goes up.
I support Ted's observation. That 65 cents don't charge.
So same thing with the 279.
I think that's a bid. I think they did that out each year, right?
No, well, we do bid it out each year. Yes. We put 279, which was last year's number, in here because we needed a number in
We
there.
don't know.
But we won't know that exact number until just days before this budget is actually implemented. And right now, we wouldn't want to put the current gas prices in there. It scares all away.
It's usually locked in like the day or 2 days before
Just
the council votes on the budget.
correct. Correct. But we had to put something in there. But that is correct. It's right. Currently, it's much higher than that.
We're what, six weeks away from having to vote on it?
Roughly.
If this is super conservative, which it's looking like, we probably want a higher plug.
When we developed this budget and started printing them out, it was 10 days ago, and it's a very fluid situation right now over there.
So if we put in a higher plug and it drops, then we're in better shape than if we put in too low a plug and now we've blown it up.
I think we were all hoping that by the time this is implemented, it'll be reverted back to what we're accustomed to.
I'd like to make a motion that we take the mileage for the town manager out completely, reduce it entirely, and have him use the old cruisers that he mentioned were available for all employees. Training mileage.
I would second that.
Dennis?
We cannot eliminate the mileage 100%. We do have some cruisers available. They've helped tremendously, but there is times that a cruiser is being used by someone else, and if someone needs a ride, they take their own vehicle. An example of that, just last week, the fire department, I signed a mileage report because their cruiser was in use by some other people. And so it does happen from time to time, and that's why we budget a little bit of money for it. We have 3 operating hand-me-down cruisers from the police department.
What was the, yeah, no. What was the mileage actually used last year? Manager,
I don't know that, George, off the top of my head. We budgeted last year for 585.
we have a motion and a second to eliminate it. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of eliminating it? Hands up again. 1, 2, 3. We got 5. All those opposed? And so that one fails.
We have 12 here on the event. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
It's a 400 pre-rolls. And that's your best guess.
No, 400 pretty realistic.
So based on the history that I have in front of me, it looks like, we should be looking at for that 0009 line item, a number closer to $400 or $500, not $1,200. So between what we just talked about, and that history, I would make a motion to, fund that line item to the tune of $500.
We're talking about 0009 line item.
Correct.
Well, we've already adjusted the mileage rate from feds up. And I think the 279 is too low for fuel. I think fuel is going to be maybe 304 to 350 at best until next year. So I think my motion would be to, I don't know if we can do something motion, but my recommendation would be to go 325 to 350, something like that for the fuel.
I'm gonna second Ralph's motion to fund this 0009 at 500.
Just to, Ralph, just to be clear on your motion, are you just for the mileage or for the mileage and gas total? You want that entire line item? On
For line item 0009, $500. I didn't realize that gas pricing fluctuates. But the amount that we drive can be managed. We talked about the number of town vehicles that there already are. And this is primarily for reimbursement of personal mileage. It seems that's a reasonable amount based on history.
But then you're cutting the $600 from gas. So from fuel.
I'm not cutting anything from anywhere. I'm saying that the line item ought to be funded at the $500 level.
Well, you'd be cutting something because the mileage is 260 and the gas is 977. So together it's 1200 a year.
He's saying let the manager manage that line item at 500.
So how much would you want for mileage and how much you want for fuel?
I don't see a need to make that statement here. We can pick a number and divide it out, come up with amounts. It's not that complicated.
Ben, you seconded it?
I did.
Okay.
Make it stated, about $500 at that current price, where it's set to be 5, you can drive 142 miles the entire year. That's not even driving to Bangor and back twice. For somebody, if we have, I am in a cruiser almost every day, going out to the sites. That's one cruiser gone. Today, I've been in the office maybe an hour and a half out of 9.5 hours. I've been in a cruiser going to sites 6, so that's one cruiser down.
Hey, because so again, the gas mileage on here is the gas amount is for put gas. So
So question. And apologies, it's not best, I have no idea what the demand will use is. And I'm sorry, I think that's
Absolutely. Sorry, my name is Denton Trotter. I'm the new code enforcement officer.
awesome. Okay, so this cruiser is used for, granted there's 3, but it's split across various departments. But is this the vehicle for the code enforcement officer to use?
It is.
So why is it under this and not under code?
I have my own line on them.
This is for the town manager.
But we share that vehicle. That's not,
That vehicle is assigned here to the town office. The code enforcement uses it the majority of the time, but also take into account that we've only had this vehicle for a couple of months. So this is a new for the town offices to have a vehicle here in my tenure. But these miles are taken off of what has been turned in for mileage reports historically.
So, all right, so this is only been the last couple of months. The estimate of 6,150 miles roughly. I'm curious under the town manager's budget item. That's a total of 6,550 miles in a year. How much travel is the town manager doing?
Well, I guess it varies from time to time. Rick did a lot of business in Bangor. I live in Lincoln, so conceivably the mileage would be more on that end as opposed comparison to Rick's. But I really don't have an accurate answer for that, other than if I have a need in Bangor and need to drive down there, the cruiser's available, I would take it.
I'm just trying to understand the benefit of doing that. Like, what are we using for? What are we expecting?
We're using the cruiser to cut down as much as possible on the mileage reimbursement fees that we have been paying out to various employees.
Did we know what that amount was last year?
I don't. 6,150 is a rough accounting of the amount of miles that this town office applied for reimbursement for.
Last year, the budgeted amount was 585. I don't know how much they used, because that was gonna be one of my questions at the beginning of the meeting. George, as I had sent an email to the town manager asking for current expenditure reports and current revenue reports and trial balance and reserve and capital project reports, just so we have an idea of what you currently are spending. And we didn't get that information.
If I could direct your attention to page 64 of this packet. What I've done is all the 0009 light items for all the buttons that are rolled up. You'll see your plan there.
Thank you. I knew you would do that.
If I could just explain the packet, all the blue dots are past spending reported in our town reports. The two red dots are the budget we're operating under currently, since we don't have actuals yet, year isn't complete. And the proposed budget that we're discussing now is the right hand red dot. And there's a period of time where I don't have access to data, so couldn't about that.
And this is the whole.
The whole town.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. Is it feasible for me to point out that you guys are making decisions on this budget drawn off of documents that we have no verification of the accuracy of?
I mean, I don't know if the decisions would be made off this, but I mean, it does show historic data. I would say if the town, we would like to compile the data itself. We'd accept that too.
I prefer it, actually.
Yeah. I prefer it too.
If we could have like the last
Yeah, we could do
7 years with spreadsheet.
I'm told by our recently departed treasurer that we only keep the records for 5 years because that's what we're required to do by law. And that we discard the records after that simply because we don't have storage space enough to store them. So we offered to provide the 5-year backlog of data.
That's where this came from, the data that was provided for
My tax was seven.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, storage is a little perplexing, given cloud storage does not use that. I'm totally supportive of moving from reimbursed mileage, which is depreciation based, to fuel gas card with the vehicle. But I'm a little concerned that we don't know how much we actually spend. No, I asked the direct question, how much was actually, how many miles and how much was actually spent last year? And for this function, because the cruise is new, so, you know, this is like, if we're moving from employee mileage reimbursement to a gas card, that's great, but how many miles and how much reimbursement across how many employees last year?
I don't have that number, Mary. I'll have to get it for you.
No, that is correct, that number.
I think we should get last year $100 item and start moving. We're talking about millions.
So just to clarify, the last year number, it was what was voted on by
Yeah, it's not.
council. Yeah, that was what was budgeted, doesn't mean what was spent. Okay, these numbers don't show like, if you don't think budget 585, but they actually spent 5,000. It's not gonna reflect that in the budget.
The budgetary amount, not the actual, yeah. Gotcha.
Charlie, you.
Last year in the budget, we voted to keep the premium cruises. As a lot of mileage that was paying for. If I'm on a firefighter side, well, they're paying for my style, miles really right up. I wanna say someone should be paying $900 for mileage. We was hoping where we probably don't need two cruisers. Put this forward, I know it's up to public works. Just hoping we cover a lot of town office, but somebody's gonna go there and we'll. It's hoping we're on help save, so. If we cut the fuel and stuff out, we're never gonna know, it's. People don't use their own vehicles, because some of that stuff we can't cut.
This would be my suggestion, at least on this line item, would be to, for the next meeting, we could have the actual current to date. It's in miles that have been put on the cars and the fuel that's been spent on it, and the actual at least I'd say for each department, but at least for town manager, miles that were reimbursed through mileage. What was spent in mileage.
Yeah, we can do that.
The payroll report would have it if you're reimbursing to payroll.
And if we could have that for each department going forward, how many miles for each department, just it looks like this line item is for the fuel for all three cars. There's no other line items in other departments, it looks like for fuel, so it's for all that, so if we have at least have a kind of look and spend the date, then we can at least go back through and at least have an estimate of what might spend for the budget for next year. That'd be my suggestion. Everyone's in agreement, just
We already have
Okay.
a motion on the floor, though, George, to approve 500.
Okay.
They had 585 last year, well, cutting it to 500 doesn't seem abnormal.
I mean, it just goes against what we worked on last year. Yeah.
Last year, the only old cruiser that we was using was just public works. Now we've got one for fire, water, town office, so we're looking at 3,000 stuff on it.
So, I mean, what I see happen is if we cut budget, and it gets overspent, then it can be overspent by a significant amount. Or we're gonna spend, or we're gonna pay mileage, so, which is what we didn't want to do.
I have a question. So you can ride around in a vehicle for the police and not police?
It
No,
doesn't- No, it
No.
doesn't have to be.
Okay.
no, the police decals have been taken, the insignia has been taken off.
Okay. Remember.
All right, so a motion second, any other discussion? All those in favor to cut it $500? Only two? All those opposed? All right, line number, item 0010, professional development, training, town manager, $400.
Compliance officer who's doing all the training, I presume, has already been trained.
I'm sorry, Mary, I didn't hear you.
So the compliance officer, who we just were talking about before, is making sure that he's trained and is able to train, other folks, has already been trained, I'm assuming, since-
He has to take periodic maintenance training.
Free.
No, it's not free.
Then why is it not? Was that float?
Well, I think that's for both individuals.
So I would motion that we, move ahead with the management request of $400.
Second. Second, any other discussion? Question? All in favor? All zero?
George.
Yep.
May I back up a little bit?
Yep.
To tie up the loose end?
Yep.
Under, the travel reimbursement. Section.
Yep.
I move that we increase the department request to $290. That is the current IRS reimbursement rate times 400 miles.
You're adding 30 to the total, Dave? Okay. That'd be 1267 for the total. Yeah, we didn't vote on that line item.
We voted it down.
We voted the 500.
Because we're gonna be.
Because we're revisiting and then.
Oh, you don't want to vote on it tonight?
We can vote on to at least update this and then.
Okay.
We can vote on it and if we, the further. I do a motion to change the miles to town manager from 260 to 90. Second,
290 or 292?
290. I'll do the arithmetic. When you want.
No, no, that's okay. It's accents and making sure it's clear.
you have a second?
Well, I guess I need that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? I will make a note to visit this once we have the actual big numbers. All right, item 0011, special membership, MPCNA, $400.
You know what that is?
Main town. What is it, MT, it's the town managers. Association.
Town Managers
However,
Association, whatever the acronym is.
Yeah.
So I move in favor of the management request, $400.
Second.
Wait, seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Item 0027, consumable supplies, and the town manager for $800 and fines for $300.
I just have a question of what consumables do you have that wouldn't be under the finance department?
Town manager has paper, has printers, ink, has things of that nature. My part of that. I use a lot of paper. I use a lot of pens and stationery. And that's where that number comes from.
But I thought the finance department says she builds, she has it for everybody.
I'm told that this number is what my share of it is.
So, one question, but if we're reducing it by $400 in the ask, what has come out of that? Like, is it that we found we didn't spend as much as was budgeted? Is there a rationale?
The rationale is we're looking for places to trim every little bit we can off the budget. And this seemed like a place that we could live with what we didn't have.
Do we know what the, I'm just curious, I don't have it, what that number is currently, like what's spent out of that line item?
I don't have that information with me. I can get it for next meeting.
So up until 2020, all departments included for consumable supplies, we were spending less than.
Services.
Especially where it's a line item that is.
But I would say unfortunately these days, they've made it almost cheaper to buy new printers than it is to buy new photo cartridges. They're ridiculous.
Doesn't the town have a, maybe not, but don't you have a fair contract for these
No,
copiers? Or something, no?
we own them now.
Yeah, we own them copiers.
Have you ever looked at, has anyone ever looked at, previously I asked, and they just wouldn't do it, but. Whatever they do in a fair contract is pay.
In my tenure thus far, I have not looked into that. But
Like, again,
obviously for the
based
price
on
of a phone call.
The current contract includes all the service, all supplies for roughly like a penny per page for black and white. So depending what, how many pages you print per year.
This conversation is a deja vu about 15 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
Same
To
conversation.
make it that much worse, guys, stop printing, do it all digitally.
No, but I'll bring it up since you pointed at me. Just went through this, a copier died. Brand new one's $5,000, bomb barrel with love my 17 color. We ended up buying a brother for $350. That love my 17 color reverse. $350. So the extra 4,000 whatever $100 went for ink for a long time before we got up to our 30,000. Our last copier died. So that's how cheap printers are. And the problem to get the full blown copy is you're up in $5,000 minimum, $5 to $10,000 minimum. And this one does everything, scanning, faxing, and everything. That's how far the technology is. So, that's it, what I sent around.
Do we have a motion?
I move we cut 300 and we'll fund this at 800.
Another discussion? All those in favor? One opposed? None? Okay. Item 0.0, building and ground maintenance, $800.
Can you explain what this is then?
It's building and grounds maintenance. We're responsible for certain maintenance activities on the inside of the building. And to a lesser so on the outside. An example would be the window that the kid went through a couple of weeks ago. That is on the landlord. The leaking toilets that we had in here, that was on us.
Plumbing is our issue.
Well, it wasn't a leaking plumbing, it was toilets that kept running. But giving you some examples of, there's some things that we have to maintain or some things the landlord maintains.
How did that happen in the past, prior to this line?
To my knowledge, this line item has always been there. 0050 is the building and grounds maintenance for every department.
Yeah, but it's only. You didn't have it before this building.
I can't say yes or no. This is my 6 months in this job here. We've had that line item since I've been in charge of this budget. And I think we had it last year
I
also.
believe when we were at the sauna hall. But you're wrong, but town was responsible for everything in the building, Mason's responsible for everything outside.
I think there's an agreement similar to that in place here.
Oh. But did that get taken care of when?
Town paid it. I'm not sure which line item. It was.
This line item didn't exist.
Well, I have a question. This is not paying wages. This is just for work, like fixing a toilet, a plumber comes in.
That's correct. This is not paying for
This is
wages.
not-
No. No. My understanding is to pay a contractor. That one of several that come in here and work, whatever the fee is. And it's usually a small amount of money. So $800 has covered it. Or would seem to cover it.
It's HVAC and electric. Come on down with that.
HVAC and electric comes on the landlord. Because we split the electric with our co-tenants, the hospital next door.
Is the HVAC split too?
The HVAC is split and as is the gas, the propane gas and the natural gas.
And the cost of the gas is under a different line item, or is that included?
That's under utilities.
So we don't know how much we spent here this year so far. An idea.
Less than 800. I think less than 800, but we still have some time to go.
I hope we approve 500 this time.
Oh, definitely. Seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, $500? All those opposed? David? Elizabeth? Okay. David, in favor?
I'll go along with it.
Okay. 7-0. All right, item 0051, Brad, $32,100.
So, it's a year to year, or is this a multi-year?
We have a year-to-year lease on this building. The price of it is $2,500 per month. The $175 a month is for a small piece of land we rent out back here to put 2 storage trailers on.
Has that gone up this year?
It's not going up.
What's the renewal date?
This is a year-to-year lease. It's my understanding it's a calendar year.
This would be a great, down payment on mortgage payment on a new building.
That's a really low price. I was gonna look at it. But pretty hard to beat that.
Yeah, but
Is there any other side deals you have, like, does it have to pay the city taxes on this, and no other deals included in the contract?
To my knowledge, no. We do in the agreement that we have with the landlord of this building, there is an accelerator clause. For it to go up a certain amount, I think it's 2% or maybe 4% per year.
so you can expect another increase next year. That was the thing.
That's correct. We get a small increase every year.
So the increase wouldn't happen in this budget. Correct.
It would happen halfway through it.
And that's.
But our landlord takes that into consideration and doesn't charge the additional money until. So to answer your question, George, no, it wouldn't be in this budget.
For clarification, the landlord will let the town know towards the end of this calendar year that the rent will go up by whatever.
That is correct.
So,
His representative. That is correct.
Accelerator, how many years have we been in this building?
I think at least 5.
At least 5?
Yep.
Have we done it in Paris? There's a number of vacant places in town, I'm just like, have we done an actual cost comparison?
We've not. We moved into here. This suited us and I have to agree with Ted. We've looked multiple different times in getting our own building as opposed to renting one.
I was on council when we looked at a town office, fire department, police department,
Complex.
yeah, it includes the rec center. And I think the total on that was, when it get granted, it wasn't designed economically, but it's like $6 to $7 million. for that, so the bond on that would be pretty, that would be a lot higher than 30,000. Again, granted, that's not something, something different, but. And I think the other reason, and again, Andy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the thing about this building here is because it was on the bank, we have to save. And anywhere else we go, we need some type of save.
Right, it came built in with the bulb and we wouldn't have to purchase anything. Right, we could take our shelving system from the old building and move it into this one here.
That's one of the features that does keep us here.
I was just curious, given the major private and rental prices fluctuate.
I would think the council would look into, other properties that might be available for sale for a town office. And if you can add the police and fire to it, then go ahead, because I think continuing to pay rent, especially if this is the way to have a council meeting, you're not in a good position to have a council meeting that have a wide audience. So that's why we've been moving to the region 3. The other concern I have is we don't own any land at all in this town. We have to rent a piece of land to put 2 storage containers in.
Well, the location of this is very convenient for us. And it came at a time when we desperately needed storage and we took advantage of it being right there. There is storage containers out on the rec lot and at different places around. But we do maintain these 2 out here. And they're for town office storage.
I think we would look to move that storage, those storage containers to a land that's owned by the town, because we could avoid the $2,100 fee.
If my only rebuttal to that would be they would have to file for something to go.
Well, they've got the cruisers, right?
They were available, no.
Dennis, do you know how frequently town staff go into those containers? Is it daily? Is it?
The rec department uses it daily.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
and with the audits being done, Melissa and Cindy are in those constantly looking for files to send to the auditors.
And I take your point about trying to cut costs where possible, but I think by moving the storage containers elsewhere, we're being penny wise and concrete.
Yeah, these are within walking distance. They're right here on the next block behind us.
I think they're talking if they're bringing files.
They're walking distance.
Yeah, we got a call, control it, file back with. Yeah.
Keeping files in storage shed on a property behind your what is in those files?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
It's in personnel information, bank account information. Like I'm not looking at it for more security, but there's document storage companies that take that stuff and do, you know.
I know. I'm unable to tell you, but the rec department just testified that they're in there a lot, so it must be some recreation files. I can't imagine that the police files are in there or sensitive information. I can't imagine that.
That's in the rec lot is equipment and just stuff from every program. There's really no files or anything.
In ours.
Yeah.
And one of those connexes that we use as the rec department. I can't attest to what's in the other one. I've never been in it, but the rec one has all of our equipment.
Oh, equipment for the program.
Yes.
There was files in the other one, there was police files in there, but I know that part of what police chief is gonna talk about is taking those files and updating it or something like that. So I know that there has been police files in there, but we're working on getting that out.
And we have looked into having files digitized, but that never passed the budget committee because it's so expensive. So here we still are.
Dennis, how many acres are we renting? 175,000.
Oh, way less than an acre, probably maybe an eighth of an acre. A small piece.
So we're interested in trading 5-to-1 ratio on property that town already owns. And so
For the price of a phone call, we could find out that they may be interested in a deal like that. Frankly, I've never approached them about it.
You talking about subdividing the lot?
No,
Purchasing the lot that we're renting now.
That's gonna be below the subdivision.
With a
lot.
trade.
These-
or letting him use one of our properties in lieu of rent. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Something to
Yeah.
that effect. Take
Not
advantage of-
necessarily buying or selling, letting him use one of our land, you know,
Good idea.
for,
I bought it.
yeah, a barter instead of a tax. Or not, they say, yeah.
It's my son-in-law, so my daughter, so I know the answer is. Go ahead.
All right, you have a motion?
Are you gonna recuse yourself from this vote?
What's that?
Are you gonna recuse yourself from this vote?
Yeah, I don't, yeah, oh yeah,
Okay,
because, they make money on it, very difficult.
yeah,
What's the motion
We need a
we
motion.
need a motion.
on the property?
No, on that line item 0051 rent.
But basically, I don't think it's mandatory, but I think it's something that we should recommend to the town on the things to try to offset that $2,100.
Go ahead, make that motion.
So that's my motion.
Okay,
To approve it, we'll make the recommendation to. Try to do something about the
A bar.
barter.
I second.
Okay, second, all those in favor? All those opposed, you opposed? 7-0. Right, 0060, safety compliance, $400. Emergency lighting and fire.
I think the vote should have been 1101, because I think Ted was.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was. Yeah, $400 for emergency lighting and fire extinguisher, maintenance.
That's not included in the building and grounds.
That is not, because that's a separate contract altogether that we are responsible for. Other tenants in this building wouldn't need that emergency lighting as we do, and so we pay for that entirely. And the fire extinguisher maintenance as well.
$400 amount is a contract that the
It's actually two different contracts, but yes. It's two different entities. An electric company does the emergency lighting and a fire extinguisher. That's the fire extinguisher.
Function every month. That's pretty important.
We punch it each month and they come once a year and test the extinguisher. Yeah. Our safety person does the fire extinguishers in monthly inspection. And then yearly, twice a year. Gway Fire Extinguisher Company comes and inspects the extinguisher. They do that for all of our fire extinguishers here in town.
I was just gonna ask you if our fire department could do that rather than that fire inspector.
I don't think they have the capability to inspect for functionality. I mean, we can all pull the handle. Yes, it works, or no, it doesn't work, but they come and they certify it.
But imagine it comes down to something with insurance.
It's the same contractor that does all the townwide fire extinguishers.
So this is just the town office portion, or?
That is correct. That is correct.
seems like there might be some value in getting a fire department trained and qualified to do that work.
Might be worth a while.
Maybe. I mean, we could look into it.
I guess it's whether the technical capacity or whether.
What's the big picture budget we putting in this, but we mentioned the whole group.
I'd have to add each individual department. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Do you have it down here, the safety compliance, yours, 0060?
That's on page 5.
No, I mean for the whole town.
Oh,
Yeah, 67.
Yeah, they just be better.
Yeah, 67. There you go.
So it went down to almost nothing in 2023. No, I got the bill. And now it's shot back up to. Now they're almost 30,000 for the whole town in this budget proposal. Is that what you're saying? With this little red dot? Yeah, we're done. There's definitely some savings there if we can find out somebody to do that.
Well, it's hard to get that little symbol, little gate, to go to that. That's what- that's what the- you know,
It's a gauge.
they- yeah, we should do this in the-
So Dennis,
it's
you're
all the way.
saying that this is for the whole town? Is this just the one time for the whole town, or are they separate in each department?
What, you speaking of fire extinguisher?
Yeah,
This line item that we're speaking of right now is for this town office.
just the town office,
That's
not the
correct.
fire department, or the
No.
rec, or anywhere else.
Correct.
But if you look at this report that Ralph handed out, page 67, yeah.
When you hire a company to do it, service for you, they don't show up for $10. I mean, it's gonna be a minimum charge for this guy to come here. He comes here twice a year. And I would think $200 is probably pretty cheap to get a service company to show up at your job, at your place of business.
Yeah, but he's charging you 200 for this building, he's probably charging you 200 for fire, 200 for public works, 200 for transfer, so he's making a sizable amount for his trip.
He doesn't do them all in the same day, but we're here to talk about this one, so.
So I guess the thing would be to see what do we think for fire department to do it, and then I'd say on the insurance side. If we did it internally, what does that do to our insurance if there was a fire? Are we still covered if we do it ourselves, or is that something that tracks that require? We don't like it, right?
Not just property, but what it's cost.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in safety and, you know, the insurances, we get a certain rate if they're done this way or a certain rate if they're done a different way. And there's lots that goes into it, but certainly money is one of the things that go into safety.
And just from my experience at the library, when our fire extinguishers are inspected, if there's anything wrong, refill, you know, they at maintenance them too. So it's not just come check it out and make sure that you've written down all your dates and you're in compliance. So it's compliance, it's inspection, and it's maintenance.
So that charge includes maintenance.
It does. No, it does.
It's $50.
The conversation, I think, raises, it draws our attention to a bigger issue, which is on page 67, this the Bloomberg handout. The all safety compliance number has gone up more than 50% in just 2 years. It's gone from roughly $18,000 to $28,000 or $29,000. Is it possible to put that service out to bid?
It is.
I'd be
And
curious
as
as
far-
to what's in that number though.
As far
Right, because we grouped it all together, but which items from which budgets are in that
Well,
number?
if you look at the other departments, I understand some of the other departments include like, equipment. Like, I think the police might have fingerprinting equipment in that safety compliance line, and different departments use that for different things. So it's hard to gauge that you're only using it for fire extinguishers or whatever, but I think you're right. I think, Dave, you're right. It's gone up exponentially. And we need to look at what can we do? Like you said, go out to bid if we can.
I think let's make sure we're preparing that. And what's
I don't think we are completely, but
I'm sure that the all safety compliance includes goods and services in addition to fire extinguishers.
yeah, yeah.
But I'll just point out that the town office cost of $400 is less than 1.5%.
Yeah.
Total. I think our time is better spent trying to deal with a big number than the town office number.
I think it makes a good grounding as we get through further out, smooth the budget for people, especially, I think. First time going through it, so first time I'm hearing what belongs in what bucket.
I'd like to echo also what Ted pointed out, is a replacement fire extinguisher for $50. There's more than $400 worth of fire extinguishers in this building alone.
Your motion?
And we just got a motion for which part of the conversation.
Or safety compliance.
006, oh, in the county.
I move that we approve $400.
Second.
Betsy?
Yes.
Okay,
All in favor?
looking down.
All opposed?
May I make the second motion? That we,
Okay.
encourage the town office to, look into, bidding out, the more significant parts of the safety and compliance.
Just fire extinguishers or?
The big parts of whatever goes into those three big parts.
I would suggest that we stick a pin in this and follow this throughout the entire budget.
That would be my suggestion.
Then we can flush out.
Because if for the town office for talking fire extinguisher, but then you get to the fire department and then other safety equipment that they have.
I guess.
Then up to number of that.
And how it's allocated, right? So Dennis, you've mentioned that this office's portion, but on what basis are you allocating it to the office versus the fire department versus the other areas, like the number of fire extinguishers, square footage, like, what was the basis?
Somebody mentioned that there's a lot of different things go into safety compliance, and fire extinguishers are one of them, but there's lots of other things also, the lighting, entry rugs coming in and out of the door, that's a safety, that's in the safety line. Because let somebody triple one of those and, you know, they're running to find a lawyer. So there's other things that get included with it, but I will.
I am,
George, quick, just for clarity. We agree that the budget committee is going to track that safety and compliance number during our deliberation. And we will postpone asking you to look into what the big components are.
What makes up a safety line, sure,
We finish like that.
sure.
Thank you.
0108 practical services. This is for.
These are our attorneys. Yep. Well, it's what we spend each year. We have a number of different attorneys, specialized, George probably knows them. Quite a few of them, Andy Hamilton, Sarah Newell, Sarah Reinhardt, different ones that do different specialized tasks.
I mean, that's current today, what we spent on attorneys.
Are they hired as needed or are they entertainers or what type of relationship?
It's hourly, right?
It's hourly, with an ongoing, association. Attorney Hamilton has been our attorney for 20 years or better. I don't know that we pay him a retainer, but he charges us an hourly rate. Sarah Newell, just went to a new law firm, but we still use her for labor law. We have other specialized attorneys, for work out on the mill and different things. John Pottle.
It'd be interesting to see before this point what's been spent, but what would also be interesting to see is what we consumed hourly, whether or not, if it's sufficient to support a retainer, does a retainer actually get us a whole hour?
This number here historically has been not enough to cover the expenses of our various attorneys throughout the year. And obviously that price fluctuates depending on our needs. But historically, this number has not been sufficient.
What we actually.
Well, I think we're hoping that this might be the year that we don't have to hire very many lawyers.
Project management, I assume, hope is not a like labor.
You're saying only trend line, the budget only, not actual.
Yeah, yeah,
So how come we don't have actual?
that's my question.
No. In that document?
Yeah.
the blue line is actual spending, that's actual, that actually cash that we spent.
Okay, community has contrary.
So you got the actual expense reports?
Yes.
Okay.
The
I
annual
didn't
expense
know
summary
that.
report.
Oh,
Yes,
you got them from the audit reports.
no, I got,
Annual report.
the treasurer's.
Melissa Quintello.
The actual annual expense summary report.
So you didn't ask for the current year's expense report.
Well, the current year is only partially expended, so
Right,
that
but
data would
that would
be.
give us some idea of what we're looking at for current expense. I'm sorry.
We need a total year.
You could make a very broad assumption that it's 10 months of the year that we've been expended, divide the number by 10.
Prorated out, yeah.
That's what we-
Yeah, that gets tricky though, because some of the expenses are once a year, and some of them are quarterly thing. So this is what I have done in the past, I look at all the actual expenses, except for the current year and then the year that we were.
So Ralph, in 2023, there was zero spent for contractual.
That was, it showed on the annual expense summary. I don't know if that's true or if that was a mistake in the reporting.
There's never a year that we don't spend something in lawyers.
Again, my recommendation on this line item would be to find out what we spent so far this year. And then we can actually plug in a number. Again, I don't think 7,000 is enough.
No. Well, there's been years that it hasn't been.
I know there's been some years that we spent 150,000 plus. But if possible, I'd like to see it broken down too. I know we have economic development at the mill site, we have, you know, whether employee, personnel related, you know, and lawsuits, like, we kind of have like a breakdown of where the.
General law, sure.
Like,
sure.
I direct everybody's attention to page 5 of Ralph's handout. The bottom graph is town manager contractual services.
Yeah, if you look at this report, the number has not been higher than 70,000 ever. So why isn't 70,000 enough this year?
We go to very back, all of them together. It's almost like 400,000.
So we're gonna do
Yeah,
all
but
those
we can
down
do other
in the
departments
department.
later. I'm talking about the department here.
This is where the rationale for what goes to what department needs to be documented, so it's consistent and congruent from year to year, so that you can actually do those kind of comparisons.
And this is great work. We did spend over probably spent over 70 grand in 2021, but the average for the last 5 years, excluding the outlier with 2023 is $45,000.
I think we're.
I take them. So my motion is we accept $70,000 in the fund. We do have the risk of.
I'd like to know what's been spent today, because if the budget was 70,000 and we've already exceeded that, that would paint a different picture. I'd like to get the information.
Do you have any union contracts to negotiate in the coming year?
We do.
3, right? Or
3.
I think the 70,000 will probably be enough. You have it?
We're gonna settle the fire department union contract later this year, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the legal fees associated with that. They're allocated to your account or to the
To my knowledge, it's all right there in this line.
that will be a significant.
Public Works, Fire Department, and Police are all up this year.
And do we know if they've increased their hour rates?
I've received no notification of an increase. But that doesn't mean there couldn't be one forthcoming.
When's the last time we went out to bid for contractual services for attorney fees?
Not since I've sitting here 6 months. Like I said, Attorney Hamilton's been our attorney for 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, I think we have, but it might be time to start looking at bidding that out.
Again, I think that would be, you bid it out to someone that's never associated with anything with the town. You're gonna spend more money prepping them up. They're gonna try to learn everything they can. We're gonna spend half or almost money to.
I agree with,
Everything that we're doing.
I agree with the chairman. I think that the corporate knowledge that he possesses is worth whatever difference in pay that he gets, and it's not significant to all the other attorneys. They're all 235, 210, in that range, and I think that what the corporate knowledge that Attorney Hamilton possesses is worth whatever additionally we pay him. No, Bangor. I don't recall seeing that on the last invoice, but we do a lot of business via Zoom and via telephone and email. Not all that frequent do I see one of our lawyers in my office.
Just a suggestion, we just had a town council last week. I would assume there's an expense report. What has been expended. There should be a copy of that next to it.
We have one. You can help you?
Can you get that one?
That's from the title. They will come from that.
Amanda, do you know how to get that? Let me work on it and then I'll have it for the next meeting.
Okay. So we have a motion for 70,000. For a second. That motion died for lack of second. I make a motion that we table this item until we have that for year-to-date numbers. Next week. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed? Vote for one.
Oh, who is the one?
We're out.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can we have a 2-minute recess?
Those three things that I've been doing now. It pays for.
Yeah, I don't know how long I'm on this. But if you look at the. There you go.
Yeah, you can get probably some Senator Collins. Now, trying to spend all of them. That would be a good thing to. I'm not kidding. A lot of the towns in Maine are getting that money. That's what you can, that work balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you get a part later.
You know, things like Dave Chapman on the issue.
Are we on?
It's like 88, 92.
So I started.
This is.
And just, getting stuck on
This
this
is
drawing.
hard, real federal cost of living.
Yeah.
Are we ready to start again?
Everyone back?
Next up is the clerk, George.
All right, we'll start with the clerk department. We'll start with 001 wages. Again, if you have questions on it, that's fine, but again, we don't vote on it.
We don't vote on wages, but I would like to talk about the staffing. If I could.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
When I worked here. long time ago, we had 4 full-time people, including the town clerk, office manager, and the tax collector, and then 2 other people. I think we need to cut one of the full-time positions out of this department. And I don't understand why they consider this clerk at 32 hours full-time. I don't know if that's full-time or not.
Believe anything over 32 hours.
She's actually a full-time employee. She works 8 hours a week at Public Works doing filing, and that sort of thing.
So those 8 hours are in public work? Okay, so again, I would recommend we take out the full-time assistant clerk at 40 hours for $34,944.
I would say that, I've worked really hard to try to get the department up front, to the point where we don't feel like we're running in what we classify as emergency mode all the time. Tracy might be a full-time employee at the counter, but she's also the tax collector. And as you know, there's a lot of issues right now between tax collector, tax assessor, and overworking somebody. It's very hard for the tax collector to be a full-time person and be on the counter, but put all her work into being the tax collector and able to do both her jobs accurately. We are a service community to multiple towns around us. The last figure that I had was roughly the service community around 25,000 people. With the way populations have increased around here, I would beg to say that that's probably a little bit higher now. Because that figure was probably 10 years ago. As in today, we had 4 counters going almost all day long, where they were the person kind of at the counter, all 4 of the stations, with a couple people waiting for the majority of the day. So we're not just waiting on Lincoln customers or residents, we're waiting on multiple people from other towns. Other towns around us shorten their hours. They're closed on Mondays, they're closed on Fridays. Whatever they can do here in Lincoln, they're coming here to do. There are some transactions that we can't do if it involves excise or something like that. But there are plenty of things that they can't come here to do here. So we're seeing a bigger traffic flow coming at that front counter.
So, a couple of question and comment. First, the question is, to those outlying communities that we serve, do they compensate us for that service? And the comment I want to make, regardless of what we discuss here, I personally would like to say that the counter staff there are first class group. You know, for all the interactions I've had, that's been outstanding performance.
And I just like I said, my only comment to that too would be not in favor of cutting positions, because I seen what all over Facebook yesterday when the town office was closed. People are mad because they can't get to the town office. And if we've had a history of putting too many things on an employee's plate. So we give them too many different jobs to do that they're not supposed to be doing, or that just leads to burnout. So again, I don't think we could cut positions. If anything, we probably need to add positions, but not advocating for that either.
Can I, Mr. Chair, can I just add to, reiterate what Ann said? The front office is busier. There's more people come through that front door now. on a regular basis. And therefore, we need the staff out there. We've seen firsthand what understaffing position leads to. There.
But my question is, when I look at the transactions that they do, I know that some will get reimbursement from the state. If they're living in the towns, does that reimbursement stay with the office that collected it, or does it go to where the population?
If they come here, well, say it's an inland fishery transaction, they're coming here for a fishing license, we keep that agent fee. If they're coming here to do a piece of a motor vehicle, we can't do a whole motor vehicle transaction for another person in another town, unless they pay their excise in their town first. But when they come here, it's flagged in the computer system to charge them a higher agent rate because they're a non-resident. The non-resident pays a smaller agent fee on the motor vehicle transaction.
Smaller or larger?
Smaller. A Lincoln resident pays.
Oh, Lincoln, I thought you said it.
No, non-resident
Non-resident.
pays.
So we are collecting some fees for that service. Do we have any idea what the ratio is of fee to cost? So for example, if we're collecting, fishing licenses, hunting licenses, excise tax that goes to the state, etc., and we're spending on wages, so we're spending 230,000 roughly. How much of that wage is offset by the revenue that's coming in?
I honestly don't have the number for that.
Because it's not, what I'm trying to get at is we cut a head count, we can't serve people that then also would result in a revenue decline.
The revenue definitely does not equal. I mean, you get $1 for every fishing license you do. You get $3 for every motor vehicle. It definitely doesn't cover everything. But we do get some revenue, but it's definitely not, we're not out there to make money. We never break even, so.
No, I'm looking at ratio of coverage, and then the second question I would have is, if we look at the traffic that's coming in, is it increasing in line with the residents increase, or is it increasing because people can't access portals? Like, is there any data that we have to say why?
I haven't really tracked anything like that. But I think it's a mixture of all of that. There are still people that prefer to come in person versus doing things online. If we mention, this is available to do rapid renewal online. Some people take advantage of that, some people don't. They're not comfortable with technology or don't have the capability. Yeah. So it's hard to say unless I actually really had them, and I haven't done this yet. I mean, I could, but I haven't actually had them do it to track every single person that comes in to figure out, why they're here versus doing something online. Some things you can't do online, like something brand new. You can do a renewal online, but you can't do something brand new.
So I'm just curious about that as a method of improving or keeping costs contained. If we've got the volume of work that's demanding that staffing, that's one thing. If we can do things to reduce the volume of work so we can keep costs low, that would also be something I was trying to throw to get underneath to see where it's sitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And is it correct that the state sets the agent fees for the minimum service we provide? And I think the agent fee for fishing and hunting $18 or something like that.
It's $1 and it caps, I think it's $5. So if you buy multiple permissions on a license, I think it's capped at $5.
That's a huge loss for the town, I can guarantee you. And by way of background information, for years I've been digitizing the property files on behalf of the town. You would be shocked at the number of documents that this town handles with regard to tax billing. And I asked how much we get paid for that. It's for documents. The town loses big time. I mean,
What
seriously,
is-
one property file. The tax delinquency for that up, just one property.
One of the things that. What they have simulation over there, for a few hours, is they're collecting the weekly goal of going back to the state and saying. Wages have gone up, costs have gone up, these fees have stayed flat, here's what we're actually processing. And then in case of Lincoln, here's what we're processing for towns around. And actually looking for the state to recompense more of those fees to the town. So that would also be something.
Yeah, that is something that has been talked about in the clerks world, at the association level as well. That what we're actually doing, and how we're getting compensated from the state definitely isn't matching what we're paying to actually provide service.
So my wife is a town clerk over in Dover, they're just completed their budget. I asked her what they found out for what the operating costs were coming from motor vehicle registrations there. So what I found, about 1/8 of the total operating. The rest of it comes from tax collection for that. So I probably somewhere similar here, just give a rough estimate, so you guys have something to think about.
And do you still keep track of who does online work rather than coming in person? You keep track of that?
You mean as far as like how many numbers per month somebody uses something,
Or like,
rapid renewal?
yeah, rapid renewal and fishing licenses and dog licenses and all of that stuff that are online. Do you get a report from the state?
Well, it depends on what we're not, signed up to do everything online because some of it has a cost associated with it. We do not participate in online dog licensing. Because with online dog licensing, if we were to allow a person to go on and register their dog online, we still do all the work here. So they can pay for it online, but we still do all the work here. So that's not cost effective.
So
for
you
us.
chose not to do that?
Correct.
Okay.
But something like motor vehicles or in the fishery, they can go on online and do it. It's handled all through those two state offices. We don't touch it at all.
No.
My monthly report every month has those two figures at the bottom
Okay.
to say how many people actually utilize those features each month. It's votes and actually it's not in the fishery.
I wonder how many of them are having it right before like a holiday weekend or something, and they're doing it in town because they want it right there. Versus online where it's gonna be something.
Sometimes that's the case. We do get a lot of people coming from out of state on a holiday weekend and they will land here on a Friday afternoon to register something. Because they want that sticker. They don't want a game warden to pull them over because they don't have the sticker. And say, well, I registered online, here it is on my phone. They want to put that sticker on their ATV, their snowmobile or whatever. So they do come in here first.
And it's the same rate. I mean, granted, I know the license fees are different, but we get reimbursed.
It's about the same age right now.
The number you're looking for is in the spreadsheet I gave. The second number is the town clerk's at 260,000 for this budget. You go down the bottom. You got under revenue, the second line, administrative revenues is 1.2 million is what the town clerk brings in at the office. That's a proposed budget. Historically, I look back, it's been a little bit less it's hard for them to hit exactly on the money. These are projected revenues.
So if I understand how this is working, clerk's office.
Does the administrative, which is bringing all those excise tax, all that.
Right.
That's what they project is 1.2 million.
For a cost of 206.
Yeah. So they're very cost effective. What the ratio is for money they're bringing in.
Does that include taxes though?
That's not city tax. That's like liens, interest. There's a whole other section on that. If you look in the old ones that have it. In here, only the blue ones. All these are projections. The blue ones, if I put in the real actual ones. Because that's why they're blue in there. So the revenue side in this is draft. The expenses are whatever the proposal is. But the proposed and actual you obviously never spend every dollar, right?
Correct.
So what happens to the extra money? Does it roll into the next budget or does it go to a special account?
It goes undesignated at the end of the year.
So there's a special account of floating money out there,
General fund.
General.
general fund. Are you allowed to have the general fund as large as you want?
There's a certain
Or- or-
percentage. I can't remember.
It's a percentage of what the town's investments are. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the percentage.
In the past, you should get the reports, but you got the report of what those various fund balances were. Maybe that's something that we can get. Sure.
That was one of the things I had asked for.
Okay, so there's money sitting in this account that can be used for special things once it gets approved to be used. Is that how that works?
No,
No,
we can't spend UDF unless the council approves it.
that's what I mean. Somebody has to approve it.
Wow.
Okay, like the school board can't hold more than 1.5 million. And they're way above that.
Yeah, well, they get
Yeah.
a lot of retirement issues. too.
So I propose that we have our budget meeting, have a meeting with the school budget to talk about them turning over the $1.88 million that they are holding that's really our money, town money.
And they want to talk to the council about that.
Well, we put here, then we make it, we have to
Well,
prove it here to
recommendation.
send it to the council.
Are you making a motion?
Made a definite motion there. It's well known, documented several times that they are holding more than $1.5 million in their unused account, whatever they're called. And it's up to supposedly $3.5 million. Well, our portion would be 1.88 million.
Keep a list of what I would sort of call umbrella issues that we want to come back to, so like that
Or
one.
you'll get it in your.
We don't go back this, we want to approve this, if we need to get talking to them on why they're hiding, and they hide this because every time it's talked about in open forum like this, when the minutes come out, it's never in the minutes. And every time they ask, why is it not in the minutes? And we do it,
So your motion is to do what?
is that we have our budget, I assume it's our budget committee would move their budget committee to say, we know you got the money. Is it illegal? What kind of offense is it for holding money like this? And if it's even punitive, we could go after them because they are holding money back from, and it's a lot, it's 1.44 million.
Okay, so what's your motion?
Is that we meet with them? You obviously got to get the town council approval that we meet or they meet, whoever wants to meet, to directly confront this issue. They've
Well,
been doing this for a long
The
time.
motion that I've got written in the minutes is you're asking the town council to meet with the school board about unused UDF over and above their allocated amount.
Yes, and legally,
And talk about a refund to the town.
So,
yes.
second.
There you go.
Hold on. Or the council can't meet with another body, it would need to be the town manager with the school manager.
Why can't the council meet with the school board?
Because we're two legislative bodies, we're not an administrative body.
Well,
Not in this.
I don't think it would hurt. I think they've had joint meetings in the past.
Council has that one meeting.
We have in the past, all right.
Well, whatever legal way we want to do it, we want to do it legal. So, but my whole point is, and then there's a section motion with that,
No, here we go.
is when you look at the data, the overall data. This is from 2020, COVID. COLA, federal COLA, cost of living allowance. From now to this date, the people on social security get a 133% increase. If you look at the COLA, what the town is expending, they are at a 74% from 2020. And when you look at it, there's everything in red is a step change of something happened dramatic in the budget when you look at the stuff in red. So anyway, we're 42% higher, our spending than what the senior citizens are getting. So the second one is we take this 1.88 million, we put into account, we only use the interest and give it to the people in social security who have to prove every year they live here and under a certain amount. Which can come out 50 grand.
We can't make a motion on that because that's something council.
That's a
You can make a
You
recommendation.
can make a motion that we present it to them. Are we not a committee that talks about money?
About
But we don't have the authority to, you
No.
can make a recommendation to the council.
Yes,
all you
our
want.
recommendation as a budget committee is that that excess money get used for that process. We don't just gobble it up and eat it. We basically use it for something to help that. My bottom line, I don't think senior citizens should be kicked out of their home, period. For tax.
Well, that's
city
what we're
tax.
here for. is to hopefully
Well,
provide everybody-
Exactly, we're here for it. We need to make motions to say we want to do it. And if we're not doing it in the right way, then whatever it is.
Okay, so-
But if we don't make a motion to say we want them to do it, how do they know they want us to do it?
Your
Other than
motion
most of them
is
here.
to take that money that if we do get something.
If we do get it,
Refund seniors about, from the interest to decrease their expense. Refund to
yeah,
seniors.
they're city taxes. And it'll be, people have to document. If somebody goes to a nursing home, we're not there to protect people's homes once they get nursing homes. It needs to be that whole thing will be worked out by the people who supposedly can approve this, which would be the town council. Is there anything illegal that you know about this? What we're motion? Eric, no?
I don't know.
I would like to just make a comment to support that the motion goes to the council to talk to the school board. And if there's an impediment of logging stock and then make an appropriate adjustment. But it should go to the top first, because we're the decision.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
So that's what his motion is.
So our motion is we
Yeah.
present this a motion to the town council,
Yeah.
right?
Chair needs space trying to figure out on the rate back, but I do believe there is tax fairness legislation that basically says everybody has to be taxed at the same rate.
No, it's the
You've
same,
got
it's-
certain exemptions,
It's
but
its own, this will be the Lincoln Senior Homestead exemption.
We can
I think
develop a
it's, I think
program.
it's a wonderful idea, don't get me wrong, I'm not debating the idea, I've just thought that. how you ever-
Been shot down by the main state.
Really?
Yeah.
They give it to veterans, right? They give it to
Or
the
there's
senior citizen.
specifically described exceptions.
Yeah. This is an assumption. Is your
Yes.
old people,
But
limited
there's-
income, you get hurt over the minimum wage that increases every year, that does nothing but has permanent inflation causes, all caused by the government. And the government, city government, is causing it before.
I'm gonna interrupt, because we're kind of getting off topic. We're here to talk about the town budget, not things that we don't have control over as a budget committee, so we can make the recommendation to.
Figure out how to do it.
Well,
Make
we
a
already did.
recommendation to the council, they can look into this.
Well, so we're not gonna approve
Fortunately,
it.
we have members
We're
of
not gonna
council
approve-
here, so here.
Yeah, the
So we're not
council
gonna make a
here.
motion to present this a motion to them.
Oh, I'm making, you're making a motion and I'm trying,
Is that
you've
even-
already got a second on your first motion. Are you gonna second his second part of the motion?
Oh, sure, I'll second your second.
Okay,
Thank
so now, I guess. We got the two motions, George.
All those in favor?
Which one we voting on?
Yeah.
Well,
Can you repeat the two motions? I'm not sure I understand. I have it all in my mind, what the second one.
Okay,
Second one is finding a means to rebate the money reclaimed from the school board to the senior citizens in this town in some manner legally appropriate.
Well, one is to get the money from the school. The second one is to create this, what's called the Lincoln Senior Citizen Exemption.
Everything is gonna be completely up to the council.
Yeah.
it's
a
just a
recommendation to council.
recommendation.
Just a recommendation, to council.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what it is.
As it relates to
And I-
the clerk's office.
Wait, I guess I have another question. If the school has this extra money, why wouldn't they just use it to fund their budget? Why would they give it back to the towns?
When I looked at the budget, just, well, 2 months, a month and a half ago. They're using the interest. They're having a good time on that extra interest, and then they're using the interest for their own needs. Yes, very interesting, because I was wondering where all this interest money is coming from. Then I back calculated, it just happened to match. Yes. So it's a way to get more money from the school board. And they should really be ashamed of themselves, because we're the worst performing schools, state of Maine, in the whole nation. And we were not that when I was in high school.
Yeah, I just want to suggest, I think the school, if we're gonna insist they use this money, this pool of money, I think they should use it to fund their budget. And not go taxpayers, so
Well,
that
we-
for
we-
the school
we-
budget.
Stop all this, because we're off
Right.
topic, and it has nothing to do with the budget we're working on, so.
Well, it seemed like it was tied to the motion we're about to vote on, right? I just want
We did.
clarification.
So, all those in favor of making the recommendation of council to follow up on it?
Yes, I think we did that already. I thought we had a different problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, 12-0.
As it relates to the clerks, if I'm understanding your figures, and I want to make sure they're included. So the clerk's office costs 260,305 is the proposed, and it's estimated that that function will bring in $1,212,000. So
And that's,
so
that's what I got off the internet.
Yeah.
I don't think, I haven't looked in here, but it's just, I don't see the revenue this side.
It's in the
I-
Yeah.
first tab. First
I
tab.
don't-
I can tell you. I don't know what's in this administrative revenue line item. That's all my question. Oh, I see.
Page after page 12.
Yeah, I see it now. The 1,200, is actually on page 4 of your budget document. It's under the tab called revenue. And these are all the fees that your personnel.
I don't have the whole budget like you guys have. I don't have my revenue. I only have.
Well, I think if you look at it, it includes ATV, aircraft, boat, cable franchise.
Yeah, and those are all like approximate.
Yeah, it's what you
Yes.
anticipate to receive in the current fiscal year,
And
or
these
in
are-
the proposed fiscal. Year.
And these are all the things that your office is, so the clerk's office, all that revenue flows through the folks that are doing the work.
And on that, you have the passport. You're not doing passports anymore, right?
That is correct. We suspended passport operations due to lack of qualified people until further notice. We have 2 people registered for the training, one of which is me. So right now, we do not do passports.
So it's
Yeah.
temporary. You-
Correct.
You anticipate doing.
We anticipate,
With this next budget, you'll be doing.
as soon as we get some people trained to do it, we will resume.
Well,
administering
that
passports.
was one of my questions too. When are we gonna talk about the revenue? It wasn't in the list to go over that. Revenue part, but
What revenue do you speak of?
the whole revenue account that you had in the beginning of the packet.
Well, the schedule that I have here doesn't have revenue yet. And so I guess it'll be at the end.
Put at the end.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, so. 0003 part-time election wages, part-time wages, election wages. Any comments on that?
Guy, that one.
This whole discussion of rights.
We can't make positions, that's not what we can do, we don't have that authority.
Position.
We cannot set positions.
We can't
No.
recommend a
We
position.
can't, you can make a recommendation, but it's not a,
Well, that's
you can
my
make a recommendation, that's something we vote on, so
question.
we don't make recommendations for positions, because we.
I thought cutting positions was not cutting weight or not cutting, we're not talking about wages that change. But cutting positions is something we could do.
Not my knowledge, I mean, unless.
This,
someone else-
this budget, after you folks are finished with it, comes back to the town manager for final. So before it goes to the
Then it
county.
goes to council for approval.
Are you typically staffed for a typical office your size? Like if you compare to like Bucky Boy or all communities,
I believe we are, yeah. It's pretty, for about the size that we have.
we're in the
That's why I
ballpark.
know everybody.
Anything on election wages?
How many elections did you, for this year?
That is November 26th and June 27th. So 2, so it's a gubernatorial. So that's usually, I look at what elections are coming up in this fiscal year. I'm gonna use more staff during the gubernatorial. The 27 should be a quiet election. So I use less people with that one. It could end up, if the state doesn't have anything in June of 27, it could just end up being a school budget vote by itself again. So I figure, fewer people in there, and then that's how I come up with the number based on
basically the minimum wage that we pay the workers.
And did the RSU pay for the past election on April 7th, where they were the only thing on the election? Is there a special vestibule vote?
They did not pay for that. I did ask, because when they sprung that on me as the last minute election, I did ask them first and foremost, are you sure this can't wait till the June 9th election? And I was told, no, they couldn't wait to June 9th. I did say something about the cost of it. They did mention that according to the person I had talked to, that was figured into their grant or their money or however they're getting that funding. So I could bill them if I wish to. So I can bill them for it. I just haven't yet.
I would recommend that you bill them for that, since that was the only thing that you were working for, is for a school election.
Yeah, and I can do that. I just haven't done that yet. I haven't had time to compile all the final numbers for who actually worked and what it cost.
Part-time wages under the town clerk. There's no history in that line item prior to 2023. Did those costs go to a different line item in the past?
It may have at one time been included in the 001 wages. I may have split that out a few years ago as I was trying to track what was actually being spent in for election wages. And I wanted to get it out of that other.
Well, that makes sense.
And I can't remember when I did that, but
I'm struggling with the lack of history there.
Yeah.
But a little bit of history shows that.
and it, like I say, it fluctuates each year based on the minimum wage rate and how many people. If it's a presidential election, I'm using a lot more people. Versus the small.
Mileage and capital expenses up to bring up with salt. Okay,
Can we deal with,
We gotta vote on.
I thought we didn't vote on wages. Why are we voting?
We don't have to vote on election wages. We just kind of have voted on everything, so.
We didn't vote on the
Yeah.
regular wages, did we?
All right, so we'll move on to travel expenses, mileage, travel expenses.
So it's got the same mileage rate this year.
Right, the revised number is 3,225.
3225.
So can I point out, I want to point out though, in that line, it's mileage and travel expense, it's not just a mileage line. So I've got a big piece of paper that I calculated out how I came up with the number. So I looked at the next fiscal year, who might be going to what training and where it's located. So there's travel for that, but then it's also, if there's a hotel involved, this is also including a hotel cost to it. So that is not just mileage.
You have the mileage.
Not separated out on here. I'd have to do some calculating out to figure out exactly what the mileage is.
And do you do anything by Zoom, any of these trainings, Zoom, really, you know?
There are some times that we do Zoom. But we still also pay for the class for Zoom. It does take out travel if we do it. Some classes aren't offered that way.
A lot of Zoom trainings come with a fee, with a registration
I
fee.
understand that, but this is not that fee, right? That's under something else, right? This is just for travel.
Right. Yeah,
So-
and some classes aren't offered through Zoom. And actually in the clerk world, it has been like researched, I guess, for lack of a better word, that the more they were putting classes on Zoom for the clerk training, people weren't retaining it because a lot of times people weren't actually sitting there and taking the training. So the clerks have found that we're gonna go back and not offer as many classes through Zoom and make people come in person with it. It's also a networking thing too. If you go to a class and you're in a room with all sorts of other clerks and you get to know them, that's a resource for you to use later if you run into something, I've done that numerous times. I call clerks everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
networking is the best thing in conferences.
Right.
It's way better than the conference itself.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's hard for us to give up a little bit, is that networking part of it.
Elizabeth?
And when they do the training, do they go as groups or just one individual at a time?
It's usually just one individual at a time because of the staffing.
Are they allowed to use the filter to do this?
If it's available, and depending, I've been told that we may or may not want to take a cruiser as far as Augusta.
Right.
I will send people to classes closer to here if I can, but most of the time classes are going to be as far away as Augusta is where I would send them, and that's at MMA.
Good motion?
I move we approve the 2892. If, you know, that amount of the federal rate, they'll have to live within their means, I guess.
Second, all those in favor? All those opposed? Oh,
What was one? No.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, item 0010, professional development.
This is the training cost savings.
Yeah.
And it moves up to be the mandatory way.
Yes, the teacher certificates, because a lot of them, if you don't take the classes and don't keep being certified, you lose that and start all the way over at the beginning.
Is professional membership required?
Professional membership isn't necessarily required. The benefit of paying, say, the $35 fee for each person a year to belong to one, you get the member rate. So right now, a member rate for a class is $60 and a non-member rate. So we save $20 per class if we're a member. For that $35 fee per person that we pay per year.
And is there like online resources in addition to that? So for example, templates, look up.
Yes, you also, yeah, you have the benefit of the member part of each of their websites, with whatever membership.
Membership is excellent.
Yeah, membership.
And the clarification, let's say we get $40 off for training. The training cost would be in, line 0010, professional development, is that correct?
Right.
So, saving $40 on each training class.
$20.
$20.
Yeah.
Seems to be a poor trade-off, if for instance, how much money on.
The membership is 140.
Okay, so this professional membership includes main municipal association fees.
Yeah, but
Is that
just
the-
for the 4 clerks, it's
Is
140.
that the
That's
town?
all.
These are for just my employees. So,
So the main municipal association fees are for each of your employees.
correct. That's like, it's $35 for each of us for the year.
And if we pay everybody's dues, we get $20 off of the MMA's training cost for
For each class that we sign up for.
And the training fees would be, again, professional development.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting money to it.
Yeah, so some of these, like the annual conventions, things like that, that's extra things, that's not training, well, it's training, but it's conventions or annual things from like MMA that MMA offers. I also go to some of them from the New England Clerks Association. So I can keep up my higher certificates that I carry through them. So that's what some of them, and those are a little bit more expensive for the clerk, but that's just
needs that has that. I don't pay that for all of it.
Looking up, again, in professional development, around numbers. For certifying the clerk courses, course training. For the last three items are roughly $650. So, yeah,
So I budget each year for each of the clerks, including myself, to go to 2 classes a year at $60 a piece is how I figure that. Then there's conventions, there's networking day, things like that, that cost a little bit more, have a little bit more,
there are 2 courses per course,
that's part of what's in there.
but the typical year is 2 courses per.
Right.
We have 5 clerks.
Yeah, if you divide that
So we
by,
have 10 clerks.
Yeah.
We have 10, we pay for 10 courses.
Right.
So $20 savings per course times 10 courses is $200. And we're paying $6,500 in dues at the 4th grade level.
no, that
Pay for it.
municipal, that's the town dues who belong to Maine
I
Municipal.
just asked about the $6,500.
That's Maine municipal, that's what the town pays for.
Oh, are you talking down on, under membership, the
Yes.
dues there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's that's different. Maine municipal dues is something totally different. But that is the town, yeah. I thought you were talking about the Maine County City Clerks Association, which is what we get the benefit of the classes.
We should put the rest.
And if you divide 1,570 by 5, that's $314 per employee.
Okay.
So why can't we reduce that training down to 150 per employee? I mean, why do we have to have $314 for that many courses for this year, knowing that we're in a bind? Why can't we reduce that?
You can if you want to, I just don't send somebody to something this year, and I just have to decide what I'm not gonna send somebody to.
The courses that you're thinking for these people, the clerks, are they to maintain the level that they, do they have to take particular classes this year to maintain whatever certificates they have? And will this keep them at the level? I certainly don't want to fall behind. We're in a mess because we've fallen
Right.
behind to keeping appropriate level of skill here, so.
It's a hard thing to weigh out because if you're going towards your certification, you're trying to keep your certification.
Right.
There are classes that you have to take, there's mandatory parts, optional parts, things like that, and then total, you're trying to work for your points to get your
Right.
certification. Not everything's offered every year. That's the hard part, is I
Right.
can say, I want to send all my clerks to 2 classes per year. But the class that they really need, perfect example this year, I wanted my clerks to go to a certain class, now they're not gonna offer it, they pulled it off. I assume it's because they didn't have an instructor. So will that class come back next year? I don't know. I was hoping I'd get somebody into it this year. So we kind of play that game too, that you hope to get them there if it's offered. When it comes to election law, there are certain classes that we're supposed to have every 2 years. So then I try to rotate everybody through and hope that everybody's on kind of a different rotation. Right now, I'm behind in one of my classes that way, but if you can't go, you can't go. Or if they don't offer it, they don't offer it. So you're always just playing that game of what's gonna be offered because you don't know. I don't know right now what's gonna be offered next year.
How many classes do your clerks need to have to maintain or to attain whatever level that we need to have them be efficient as they are? Like, is there a mandatory level that they,
It's not a mandatory.
it's just so that you need to, if they have the criteria, they'll just be better at their job,
Right.
type of thing?
This is like professional development units that have some areas. Right.
But you did say there were some particular courses they needed to take, correct?
When it comes to like elections and things like that, yeah, or
Okay.
if they're actual going for the certification of being a certified clerk, then there are certain classes to take to get to that certification, say that they're certified. And you do that within a 5-year time.
Do we have anybody besides you that's certified as a main clerk?
Not currently, just me.
So if anything happens to you, like you win the lottery.
Right.
They don't have, you don't have to have the certification to be an main clerk. It's just beneficial. If you have that, and I mean, it looks good, but it also means that you're taking these classes and you're trying to advance. For me, I'm trying to learn so I can be better at what I do. And that's what I'm trying to instill in my clerks out front, is try to send them the things so that, you know, if I do get hit by the bus or I win the lottery, they can step in and hopefully feel comfortable knowing that they've taken some of the training, even if they don't have the certification, they've taken the training, they're working towards.
We have a motion.
I make motion, we approve 250 times 5.
Second, your motion.
And that's the sum for sub account 0010 professional development.
Yes, that's the line, yeah.
What about?
1,250.
All those in favor? 0. All right, item 0011, professional development. Questions on that? Sort of discussing some of that.
Well, what do you get for the association? What do you get for?
That's the MMA website. I don't know why it's in my budget and not the county budget, because it is a town membership fee. When the town. Yeah. I don't know why it's always in the clerk. It means you belong to maybe a municipal association. They have a website, so you can post job openings on there, so it goes out to a wider audience. You have this free legal advice if you contact MMA Legal. Although, when I say that loosely because they'll give advice, but they won't give advice. They give it to a certain point and then they say, no, contact your town attorney. So you can get some information from them, but you can't get a ton of legal advice. They're not going to go to court for you, but they might help you understand a state statute and something like that. But it's not your town attorney. They're not going to be your town attorney, but they can give you some smaller legal advice.
Do you have to be an MMA member to get those response and insurances that we're getting in?
I don't know. That would be a treasure.
I think we do have to maintain a membership to receive those benefits.
I seem to remember debating the pros and cons of membership at the MMA. Scale seemed to tip toward, yeah.
Have you ever tried to
Town needs to.
workers' comp or anything from anybody else? You get workers' comp 1% of your salary. That's usually what it is. So I'd be able to back check them to see. It's hard to check here because all the salaries are never grouped together.
No, I have not.
Tonight. I'll add them all.
What's that?
I'll look tonight, I'll add them all.
Okay.
Like I said, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Melissa had said in the past that they looked at workers' comp going out and it would have been double or triple what we're paying now. And we're paying a lot now.
We talk about this
High usage.
every year, and it's always beneficial to us to keep the MMA membership.
Great collection. It's almost, it should be grouped where it is, which is the first, it should be grouped all together, so you can make a financial decision all together. The problem with moving stuff out of the budget, then historically it breaks up historical trends. And that's the problem, which I don't think we should break historical trends.
Well, if you break it in a good way.
Yeah, but you throw the whole thing away, but
And your clerk's membership. One of them is your counter clerks and one is the clerks. If you look at the $35 that you said was in that first line item, it doesn't equal the same amount of people in the second line item. Is that because there's a different rate?
I have membership in multiple, so I have a few extra memberships that they don't have.
I make a motion, we accept the 69.72.
Second. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor? 0. Advertising 0012, advertising of recruitment, newspaper advertising for legal notice 3875.
Do you have any idea what you spent that line item this year?
What I'm not currently, I'm not sure. I do know that the last time Melissa gave me my whole clerk's budget to look at, I had expended 75% or 3/4 of the way through the year. So in total, my budget, I've expended 75%. I don't know specifically to what, to that line, I've actually spent.
So again, in one year you had zero spent, in another year you had less than.
In advertising, where are you advertising?
Yep. In Ralph's,
2023.
yeah, 2023 you had zero, but in 2020 you had like. Less than 500.
I don't know where the zero came from, because that line always has expenditures in it. Because that line there, is comprised of public notices for anything council related.
Right.
Special meetings,
Right.
Alcohol, liquor licensing type things. How I came to that number that you see there, I took last year's budgeted amount of 3750. For 2025 is 3750, 2026 4,000, and I took an average of that, so I got 3875. So it's hard to say. I mean, you never know. The council this year is doing work sessions, so we're putting more public notices in the work session. I didn't have that last year. We didn't have those public notices. The fees of the Lincoln News have gone up. And when I send something to them, I don't know for sure what size ad it's going to create. So I really don't know my place in exactly how much it's gonna be. So that number there is really just
So having your advertisements in the free section of the public meeting part of the Lincoln News is not sufficient as notice to the public?
not usually. Any type of answer that I've ever gotten says it's fine and great that they want to do that, but it doesn't necessarily cover us legally if anybody was to ever challenge that. So.
Has anybody ever challenged it?
Not since I've been here, but. But by law, it says you have to put a public notice out.
Also, in the free section of the paper, there's no guarantee that that ad gets in the paper. And a public notice, from our point of view, must be publicized. There's no guarantee that the free ad gets in there.
Well, the paid ad won't get in there if you don't get it in time either.
But if you're paying for it, there's more of a chance of it not.
I make a motion for 38.
All those in favor? 4-0. Item 027, 0027, consumable supply.
So this line includes, food for the election, because we do pay the election workers, meals while they're there. It includes a little bit of, the first aid council, if they ask me to make a plaque for an outgoing council or something like that, so there's money in there for things like that, plaque. I do order every year, a Title 20A educational statute book. That is the school statute, because as in the past election that they just had, when I don't have a state or a local election mandating, and it's just the school, they actually have some separate rules when it comes to elections that I have to follow. So I always make sure I get that new book each year so I know what those laws are. This line includes ballot programming for elections, the actual USB sticks that go into the machines to program them. That's $370 a stick. We pay for accessible ballots to have the state provide us with a way for, say, somebody who is blind to get an accessible ballot through the state, and that's $100 per election. So that's what that line comprised of.
Any discussion?
I make a motion to cut this and fund it at $4,500. I'm cutting out the dog inserts and a couple $100 out of the gifts and plaques, so 4,500.
I'll second.
The bill inserts, is there a purpose behind that? Is that to like reduce the number of people who've got to chase them not having the dogs?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, it's gone up a little bit. When we first started doing it was $200. In the first half tax bill that goes out, which would come out to somebody in say August, the dog licensing opens up October 15th every year. So by paying originally that $200 to put a tax bill in there, which is that little, third sheet that comes in there, to say, hey, dog licensing starts at this time, I hit every single person that gets the tax bill. So that could be a single homeowner, it could be a landlord in the building that could then post that somewhere and then multiple people see it. And spread the word out there, this is coming. It's cheaper to do that and reach more people than it is for us to say, send a postcard to every person, because a postcard right now, I think is, used to be 30 cents, I don't know what it is now, it's close to 70. So this is a cheaper way to get that information out to more people.
How many dog registrations do you have?
We're around 900-ish.
So 900 times 30 cents. Wouldn't be cheaper than 320?
I have it comes to
Pretty close to
70.
I think it's 70 more.
Yeah, but
Postcard is
Yeah,
70%.
I think just, you've got Facebook now, you have an ability to reach people through Facebook. I
Yeah,
just think,
and we do that too.
yeah,
So
I think
put it out
it's,
there on the.
how many people have said they've come in because they got this notice in the tax bill?
Quite a few actually, because they come before, because they come before October 15th, thinking they got their tax bill, they can come in, and it actually says save the date. It, it begins on October 15th. They're coming in to pay their taxes like right when they get their bill, but they can't license their dog. So it actually comes out a little too early, and people they do get it, they do come in.
Well, maybe you don't, I don't know, maybe you don't feed the election workers as much, I don't know, it's still say 4,500 is enough.
We have a motion in a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of 4,500? 1, 2, 3. All opposed?
So that would be 9 opposed?
9 opposed, 3. I didn't vote. You didn't vote?
Okay. No. You're abstaining because you own a dog, right?
No, I actually don't.
Three-quarters of the table.
You all stay neutral when it comes to dogs. You know
I
that.
do.
Yeah, that's
3, 8.
Okay. I think it's everybody.
You gotta catch them first and you gotta send your dog catcher out. So how much money you spending now?
I'll make a motion for the 5238.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All those opposed?
You voted this time, Ted.
Wants to see if you're paying attention.
Who seconded that, by the way?
David.
Dave, okay.
We still have typewriters?
So equipment maintenance, 0030, vault door and typewriter service. $1,270.
What do they do to the vault door every year?
They don't do it every year. I'd like to have a little bit of money in that line for 2 purposes. Every now and then we do have to have it serviced just to, have them check the moving parts, make sure that sometimes the locks, there's 2 different locks on there. We do get tight and things like that, and we don't have the access to take care of that with an interior thing. So specialty is through Diebold. The last time I had to call them for service, it was a $900 bill, and that was probably 3 years ago. So when we do have to call them, it is expensive for them. But if I have an issue, I have to call them because they're the only one that can fix the door.
If it's $900 and that was 3 years ago, the setting is like 400%.
It depends on if I can find anybody to work on them. That's been the issue lately. It's just. It's a dying thing. Not many people have them left.
What is it?
Actually use them.
What is it that requires the use of an old manual typewriter?
Every vital record that we issue, the very bottom part of it where it says the town, the clerk's name, we're actually typing that on the record with the typewriter. It's not.
That's what you are doing. It's a required to do it that way.
You could maybe hand print it, but there are people that don't have neat handwriting, so we prefer to have it type it.
For $5. You can have rubber stamps made up, stamp it.
Yeah, and we've done that. Personally, I've seen that. I don't think it's very professional looking. So if we can get away with using a typewriter we have, I would rather do that. So I think it's more professional looking.
At some
On the
point,
record.
you're gonna have a deaf typewriter and nobody to pick up.
Right, and then at that point, I would have to probably go that route and get stamps like some other towns have, but for now, I'd like to try, try to baby them along. But I think we have 3 in house still.
So how much of 1,270 is the typewriter maintenance ribbons? So
Ribbons comes out of the,
Consumer.
no, it's actually in the town, the treasurer's budget.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we know this, maybe you don't, but what's been expended out of that so far this year?
No. But I haven't found anybody that can work on the typewriter. The last time I had somebody lined up, then he never showed up, so. And I think he was like. Mileage, whatever his mileage rate was to get here, and I think he was charging me $70 a typewriter at the time, and that was a couple of years ago.
Would it make sense to move what was budgeted last year into a reserve account and then fund this at 0?
Sounds like a motion, but
Sounds like a long time to me.
Well, explain that, so you have a reserve account for miscellaneous things?
You can specify what it's for.
You could put a reserve account for maintenance 0051. Put the money that's still in the account, in your reserve account. And whenever there's a expense, that money's sitting there.
it's the way of saying, hey, we didn't spend it last year at all. We think we're gonna need it someday, we put it there for that purpose.
So it just stays there only for that purpose,
And
never
that-
be used, you know?
Yeah.
If you do too many things, you could have a whole bunch of money.
What's that?
If you do that to too many things, you could have a whole bunch of money.
There's a roster of the reserve accounts that we used to go over.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, we purged most of
Purged, expensive?
them. Went towards the taxes.
Taxes, yeah, that's the whole point, that's the whole point here. Do we have hidden money?
Well, they're not hidden if you get the report, that's the thing. They are specifically for specific purposes.
Yep.
So that if they're every 5 years, you're not budgeting every year and having it dump into UDF.
Well, this is a great example
Yeah,
of a safe that doesn't need service every year. But it's hard to know if this year is the year it's gonna be needed. So let's have a reserve account and not budget for it until we spend the money and then fund it that next year till we replenish the reserve account.
Isn't it better just to have a larger maintenance thing that includes a whole bunch of things? Because that way,
That's the way you and I would do it.
yeah,
Private sector versus
it's
public.
micromanaging thing, a little micro thing. Yeah,
Well, so look, for examples. I like that idea, that we don't, that we zero budget this year. And put last year's leftovers into our reserve account for this line item, 0030.
that line item only or the general maintenance of any?
Line
No,
item 0030.
like equipment maintenance.
We have to stick with it.
Like
Okay,
you say,
only
town
for that.
clerk, equipment maintenance.
Second.
Okay.
Second, any other discussion? All in favor? 0. Item 0109 town reports, 3,150 $.
I recommend we stop printing and just go PDF 100% of the line. Time to get them online.
I would second that.
I don't know if we can do that 100%. I think there's something in statute that says you have to have something printed, but I'm not positive.
Well,
Can you verify what we need to comply with whatever the minimum law is?
We print and have it have a live. The question is that accessible?
That's what I don't know. I don't know what the specific law states that we have to do.
are you printing them here in the office without?
I send them to a printing company.
They're nicely bound.
Well, that's my question. Who's the printing company?
It's been Snowman Printing out of Bangor.
Has anybody checked with, the university? They have a print shop that will print
Snowman's
items.
been the cheapest, in the last, I think I've used them probably the last 6 or 7 years, and they've come in with the lowest bid every year.
But have you sent a bid to the university or have you asked them?
I've tried to get in touch with them a couple of times. I haven't gotten a response. And my bids, I don't necessarily send out like a regular bid, because I really don't have to do a bid process on it based on a procurement policy. I just have to find a couple of places that give me prices and then to.
Definitely a good.
So your motion is to print the minimum amount required by law. Go PDF.
Yeah,
So what are you putting in for money? You're saying it's the money.
But I have enough.
Know that.
Well,
And I will say though, there are a lot of people that, and I understand what you're saying, I understand everybody's trying to save money. But I will say there are a lot of people, especially the older population, that actually want these books because they don't access them. So personally, I would hate to take away all the printed copies, because there are people out there that don't do technology and they want the printed copies.
so for the cost of, as we talked about earlier, the cost of a printer that could do this.
We've
and
done
some
it,
Binders.
We've done
You
it.
could do this for.
But labor will
300
kill you.
bucks.
yeah, we've done it
Yep.
in-house a few times, and it's not worth the time.
Yep.
It takes us so long to kind of put these all together. And then the binding machine that we have, they fall. How many do you print?
I'd like to, what you say, I do think we should be respectful of the average age here, is about 61. There is a lot of people that still, they were out of the workforce or at the end of it, their jobs didn't include computers. A lot of people that really don't touch electronics. I do think that's a very good way to go. I think we could probably cut down on what you do, but I do think we need to be respectful of the competition we serve.
And that's why we want to cut the money when we kick them out of their house. That's more respectful than printing books.
I mean,
There's a higher symbol that we're reaching for. That's my whole point. And if we don't all agree on that, and then we're gonna have this discussion all the way through the whole thing. I think mine is to cut every possible thing that to the legal limit, so we can keep our senior citizen on fixed income. And their home. It's wrong.
I make a motion with this item be $150. Think that's enough?
Well, it's whatever the minimum they need to print. We don't want to print them where they can't. This is the problem, not really having a slush fund. Do you have a slush fund? Wow, see, this is the problem with micromanaging.
Oh, they
Yeah.
have slush fund.
They do have.
We do not have any slush fund, but in this municipality, there's no slush fund.
Okay. That's
There's
why I wanna make sure,
undesignated
because
funds, but
Yeah.
there's no slush fund.
It's a very weird way to run business,
And make a motion that we find out what the legal requirement is
and we'll come back to it.
and how long.
That's a perfect one. I'll second that.
In a second, all those in favor? All those opposed? 11-1. Good route.
So who's gonna look into that? Thank you.
George, that concludes the clerk's portion of the budget. And now up next comes assessing.
Okay. All right, we're under
Probably on-
assessing and
oh, goodness.
0001 wages. Again, we can't vote on wages, but if you have questions. Now it's time to ask them. Yeah, Dave.
Is the 97.5 all the wages or are the wages not the way someplace else?
That's all of them that I know.
Well, you have a clerk that's coming out of the town manager's department, right?
That was all happened today, so nope, didn't know that when I did this.
But that's all.
That would be in the part-time assessing would cover. cover it.
Okay, well, like I said, I didn't.
So the part-time assessing wages are including those 8 hours that were in your department?
I think it's something separate.
No, Jeanette, it's not. But the assessing department is in the transitional phase right now. This number right here represents Ruth as assessing and economic development, which is now assessing is being done by Amanda. So this wage is not 100% accurate. However, there is a part-time, 1 day a week person, as I explained to you earlier, that's going to be assisting in the assessing department. And I think probably both of the wages, Amanda's and his, gets covered by this 97.5.
So did we vote on that in the town manager? Did we say that that should be taken out of your budget and put in the assessing department?
I don't believe it.
We did discuss that.
We did
discussed-
recommend to
discussed
move
it.
the assessing clerk to the assessing department.
Yeah, my
Okay.
first question is this a duplicate at 12,500 for the part-time assessing under the assessing department? Then you also have part-time assessor, tax collector in the town manager's office. Is there a duplication?
I'm not sure what you mean by duplication. It is the same person working 3 days in one department, 1 day in a different department. This is a new development.
So the amount that's in your departmental budget is just for when he's working in your department. This
I
represents,
think that would be my understanding of it as it is. As I say, this is a very new development.
I guess that my other question is. Where's Ruth's salary in the budget?
That's right there.
So then where's Amanda's salary?
I'm sorry, George.
So if this is Ruth's salary, then where's Amanda's?
Well, that is Amanda's now. Ruth's in economic development, which is out of the tip.
Okay, we didn't get the budget. So.
Okay, we'll do that at the very end.
So if I'm to understand, then your compliance officer, if you divide the 28,000 by the 1907, you come up with 1,468 hours. He worked 1,468 hours completely on compliance. Is that correct?
Well, he does a number of different jobs. He does compliance, he inputs data, he works on the insurance policies, insurance claims. He has a list of tasks that he's assigned.
Right, but that's all under the umbrella of compliance.
Okay,
When he's working in the assessing, his wages will be taken out of this line item that's here, the part-time wages.
it would seem to me that would be reasonable.
So
So if you divide that 12,500 divided by the 1907, that comes out with 655 hours. So that's 12 hours a week, for 52 weeks.
Yes.
And works 4 days a week,
Correct.
8 hours a day,
7 or 8 hours a day, sometimes 6 hours a day.
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours on average.
Um,
And David, he works sometimes longer than that, but say 7.5 hours.
he's good. Trust me, he's a good man. I'm just trying to figure out how much we're paying him per year. So.
So the notes that I took, Jeremy.
May I finish, please? So if he works 30 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, that's $1,500.
Okay.
And that works out to be roughly $28,000. So, and he used to be, his time is split 1 day a week, processing.
Correct.
Okay, so it seems to me that the correct way to apportion his wage would be $21,000 to the town manager's budget and $7,000 to, the assembly.
Okay, let's go with
Is
that.
that reasonable?
This is a very new development in the last couple of days.
So here's my concern, the budgeted amount under the town clerk for the split between compliance officer and assessor is there's $28,000 in the town manager budget, which is, which is 1,468 hours of change. Average 40-hour week is 2080 hours. So you've already allowed for full-time, part-time, if you will, part-time, within the town manager's budget. The note I took when we were discussing this under the town manager said he was spending 6 hours a week roughly doing assessing. So then I look at the assessing department budget. This is what I mean about duplicate. I should have said accounted for twice. So in that section, you have part-time assessing 12,500. That 12,500, is that not already under the 28,000?
It would seem to be that there may be an error here in data entry.
So it's been accounted for twice.
It seems that way.
So assuming that that's true, you could be able to strike that from apportioning in the town manager's budget.
I think
As
what
the
Dave
split.
said, yeah,
Yes.
21,000 in the town manager's budget and 6,000 in the assessor, about 7,000. Okay. So is that what you're gonna do, Dennis?
I think that's reasonable.
And you're still gonna pay Ruth out, oops, I'm sorry. You're still gonna pay Ruth out of this line item?
Ruth comes out of TIF. Economic development comes out of the TIF.
So with having a new assessor, why is it like 85,000?
Shouldn't be that high.
So that'll be fixed.
It'll be fixed. In the $60,000. Amanda and I have to discuss that, but in the $60,000. You have a question?
Yeah, I might be able to say that because, yeah, I've been exactly 60,000. If you go up by 53,000, the assessor was advertised at plus 7, that comes up 60, so there's 35 extra or something. That one here, sir? We should probably strike what we want for it at the bottom.
I wouldn't want to strike any of it yet, except for the 12,500 to change that to 7,000 until we have a more solid number of what they're paying. And then we can make that adjustment in future.
Because the new assessor has negotiated that price, and if that doesn't fit price, then you're gonna have to go find one, and you will have to pay that amount for an actual certified assessor for a town this size, because you've interviewed many and couldn't afford one.
There's some truth to that. We had two ladies coming here, mildly interested in the job, and both of them were in the $80,000 to $90,000.
And they would be who you want, fully certified, ready to go.
Certified.
One certainly was.
So I become certified at the end of the year, I'm not worth that certified price,
Well, it's gonna take you some time to get there.
right? But not that long, because I've been here for 17 years.
We're talking about wages here tonight anyway, my understanding.
Right, we're just trying to figure out if there's duplication.
So you're gonna get us updated numbers for the actual. I want you to know.
I will.
Thank you.
We all know that our assessing department is in transition. Sorry.
Carol, are you? Are you ready to take over full time? Or will, Ruth assist you?
She'll have to assist me, just no different than I would assist Denton in his transition. Yep.
So it would be appropriate to allocate 2 wages, the value of Ruth's time during that transition.
It would seem so.
To me, that muddles things, but certainly we could do that.
I think that's Michael.
I think. Yeah. Between that and you know, supposed to use 2 funds for, regular activities in town, and so you could run into some clients challenges if you don't split it between budget.
I'll certainly look into that.
Item 0009, travel reimbursement, $360.
One of the trend tends to be fixed.
70%, great. I guess my only question is, assuming using the vehicle that's available, 600 appropriate, or just like that would be very low unless it's all being used out of the vehicle.
I'll let Amanda comment on that, but 600 to me does seem low for a total for the year.
Right, that there would be a Ruth because she doesn't need the training that I need, and I'm not gonna be able to get all of that training online. So I would definitely run over that line item by the end of the year, but how much, couldn't tell you right now, because I don't know yet. But I anticipate that, yes, with education and inspections, those sorts of things. We only have the 1 car, he's doing inspections, I'm doing inspections, but yeah, yep, I do anticipate going over that, but like I said, not being in that department yet, I don't know yet.
Accessories. Right, 600 miles, 6 awfully low for you 6 inspections.
Right.
But there are times that you could double up with the code and do inspections together, so that could save. I make a motion for the 360 for 0009.
Just at 72 cents a mile, it would be 360 and got it.
I'll see what that gives us for ending.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor? 4, all opposed? 6, 7.
Good with me, but 8 and 4 is probably.
5.
Oh, there were 5 in favor, I'm sorry.
5 favor, yeah. So,
Yeah, I think much.
yeah, go ahead.
I move that we increase the miles to 1,000. By thinking that the assessor should get, drive around town, see what's going on. And that's 1,000 miles is roughly 200 miles a week. That's
That'd be $740.
$725. I retract the motion. Just continuing 600 miles.
Where's the gas for that one? Is that the same vehicle that's under the counter?
It's the same thing, but sign
Okay, but
She's not putting in gas, she's putting in.
I don't understand that when I'm looking at desktop, the town office cruise. So 6,150 miles includes the code enforcement officer and the assessor.
it would seem.
We have a motion for the travel reimbursement.
I move the travel reimbursement number be increased to $435. 600 miles times 72.5 cents.
Second.
I'll go ahead and say.
Seconded, all those in favor? All those opposed? Item 0010, professional development, Maine Association of Assessing, $700 and membership fee.
Amanda, those are membership fees that are international, but we're not considering doing those associations right off.
No, and that. Or the CMAAO, I would probably only do the Maine Association, and I think that one is 40. And I don't know what the Association for Assessing is. I don't think it's a 17, so that could probably be reduced as well.
So the second number would be reduced to 40 and the first number could be 50 representative.
This first year, give me the 700 and we'll go from there.
A total of 740.
Right.
Maybe not 740 because there's what I want to.
Seconded. All those in favor? One opposed? Alright, 0. Right, 0027, someone supplies passport address book for $38.
All right. Manager's request, I make. a motion.
Bringing it back.
Would Amanda be the other person that you said that would be doing?
So she was, the passport, like our facilities manager, so she had to order the book every year, right? You have to have that, but I'm not the passport facilities manager, so I get just stuck with the book.
We can just do 0. You can put it in the town manager.
We're gonna have to pay from somewhere.
Right.
Or you can take it out of your consumable for now. Yeah, 38 bucks. I make a motion for 0.
Second now.
Seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed? 93. Right. 0094, property transfer for $600.
So this is the online portal for sales tax transfer. So that's how many we've done usually in the average of a year is the $600 amount, because we have to pay a certain portion per transaction through the county. So
is this, did someone pay the taxes?
So anytime a property is transferred ownership, there's a tax. And then all of that information is put, the transfer tax, all of that is in the registry. So that's what she did in transfers last year roughly.
Yeah, that amount seems in line with 20 years of history.
Right,
So
it's pretty average number, right?
I was motion in favor of the request. $600, 0094. Second.
Accepted, all in favor? All opposed?
Mr. Chairman, it's, next up is code enforcement, but it is, 5 minutes to 9. Which is 9 o'clock is our shutdown time.
Do we have anything extra for enforcement on the schedule?
Library.
Library.
It moves to Thursday, right?
I would say we're probably gonna have to schedule more dates. Usually, didn't look at the whole schedule, I looked at the beginning of the schedule. Usually there's a couple of blank dates for.
Well, there's a couple of dates that don't have a lot scheduled. Thursday of this week is fire EMS and public safety, so it's all one person. And then maybe we can finish that one early. Go forth and come back, but it would be nice for her to know that I would put the day.
I would say we'll start with code enforcement and library on Thursday and then finish with. the fire department, public safety. building.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.